ability in the locker room area. We'll have head coach Roy Williams join us here in the main interview area in just a moment. These reminders while joining us here in the main interview room: please be sure to silence your cell phone, no flash photography, no video recording devices, including handheld cameras, mini cameras, and mobile phone cameras in this area all week and weekend long. We have satellite information up here on the dais and, of course, in the back with Hammond Communications.
Hey, Coach. Good.
If you need that, just ask one of those individuals in the Hammond Communications area. We're joined now by the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels, Roy Williams. Coach, we'll ask you to give us a couple opening thoughts, then we'll take some questions.
Okay, the easy one is we're thrilled to be here, excited about being here. It's been a fun time with our club, and hopefully we'll play extremely well and keep it being fun. But practice today wasn't exactly sharp, so we've got some work that we can do between now and then. And I lost a battle yesterday at practice, so that's the reason I have a bruised lip. So if you take close-ups, my wife did not hit me, I assure you. Kicked the ball hit me right in the face, and I went down like you'd have thought Muhammad Ali had hit me. But other than that, life is good.
Coach, we have 4 questions already. We'll take them right in a row, beginning with Nicole.
Roy, Nicole Arbach, USA Today. The other 3 teams that are here are similar to yours in that there's a lot of upperclassmen, a lot of experience. What do you think that says about this tournament and the teams getting to this point with that?
You know, the easy answer would be that more experience handles tournament play better, but I think it was only 3 years ago when Duke won it with three or four freshman starters, but that would be the easy answer. But I just think there's so many really good players, so many really good teams that you want to be playing your best right at the end of the year, and you have a chance. And I think that older guys understand how fleeting it is and how sudden the season is over with, and so perhaps they focus a little bit more on that part of it.
We'll keep moving right down the line.
Mark Tracy from the New York Times. I think there's been some attention, maybe even more this year, and I think it's loving on kind of the way you talk, the accent, some of the sayings.
I've never had anybody say that it was a loving thing.
Well,
about the way
I think it
That's
is.
nice.
I don't sense
that.
animus anyway.
Yeah,
but I was wondering if that's kind of how you grew up talking, and that's how you've always talked. If we wound the tape back to you a while ago, if that's the same way you talked, and if you've ever felt a temptation to moderate it, to speak with less of a regional accent.
You know, when I went to North Carolina, when I went to Kansas, everybody talked about my southern accent. After several years, when I came back home, they told me I'd lost my accent. And then so when I went back, I don't know, I never asked anybody if I'd gotten it back or not. But, you know, it's who I am. I tried not to set a bad example for players and cursing all the time. So, you know, I guarantee dadgum to you, you know, that just comes out of somewhere, I don't know where, and dadgum and things. But I do slip up and I curse. And tried to, when I've gone my first year at Kansas, I told them I had 7 curse words all year. And most of my players thought I went past number 7, but I do try to do that. But other than that, I'm just being Roy. You know, it's I don't know if that's good or bad, but I've never tried to be anybody else.
In that same area, Mike?
Roy, Mike DeCourcy, Sporting News. These last 2 years, have they been therapeutic for you with all the other stuff that has gone around the program? Coaching Marcus and Bryce and Britt and these guys, has that helped you detach from the other stuff?
Michael, no question, therapeutic is probably the proper word because I always say it's just made it a lot better. But we've had some junk swirling around that I haven't enjoyed and haven't appreciated and haven't felt good about things that were being said, but I could lose myself when I went out on the court with those guys. And Marcus, one of the greatest leaders I've ever had, and Bryce, one of the guys that I felt like improved throughout his career for 4 straight years, and that gives you satisfaction as a coach. And they were genuinely fun to coach. And this year, the same thing. I mean, you know, Theo, starting last year, you know, showing up at press conferences and the whole bit. I mean, he bothers my vertigo because I'm always trying to figure out where he is. You know, where's Waldo coming in behind me kind of thing. he was one of the guys that grabbed me yesterday when I was going down. So, but these two teams have been very therapeutic for me. They've really made me feel good about what I'm doing, and they've allowed me to get away from the stuff. And when I was 17 years old, I was always a guy calling everybody when it was time to play pickup. When I was 19 at 6:30, 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, I was always a guy calling everybody about meeting at the golf course at what time. I'm the guy that sets up all the golf trips right now, so it's always been me to try to get groups of people to do things and have fun with it. And these last two teams have really been a lot of fun.
To the right, Pat, then Dana.
Pat Forty from Yahoo Sports. Roy, in what ways is your team better since Theo Pinson came back from being injured?
Pat, the easiest way is he's really a playmaker. He really is. He gets more credit for being a defensive player than he really is, but he doesn't get nearly as much credit maybe for being a playmaker that he is. Every now and then he doesn't see the defense like a quarterback that has a high turnover ratio with interceptions, but he sees things happening quicker, is able to make a decision quicker, and able to make the play quicker than probably anybody on our team. And to me, that is a playmaker. And he's talking about as he was dribbling down the court against Kentucky the other night, what things were going through his mind. I don't have any doubts about that at all. I think he was trying to say, okay, am I going to drive it all the way? Well, how are they playing this? Well, they're going to make it difficult. There's Luke. I do think that his mind works like that. I wish it worked like that, and he was as good defensively as his reputation is, because I really wanted to buy into that even more. But that's the biggest thing, is the playmaker part of it.
On the aisle, Dana.
Dana O'Neill with ESPN. Roy, today the governor signed the repeal bill of HB2, and I'm just wondering, you've been outspoken against it. Is it a step in the right direction, and how important is it as a citizen of North Carolina, let alone as a head coach?
I haven't seen anything. I don't know if it's completely done, if they changed a few things. So I don't have a lot of information. But I've tried to say that, it's not just about athletics. It was about more than just holding and hosting athletic events. And to me, I always said too, I was very sad, because I love the state of North Carolina. I think the people of North Carolina and the people that come live there are very proud. And so that was my biggest stance on it. But I haven't seen anything yet as to what actually has been done.
Right up in the front.
JB Rick.
It's okay. What number is that? 4. Number 4.
JB Rick, Spectrum News. How you doing, Coach?
Good, James.
You said coming into this week that you wanted this team to enjoy this experience more and have more fun compared to last year. Have you seen that so far, and how do you feel it will translate come Saturday night?
I think they are having fun. I don't know that I said I wanted them to have more fun, unless you were talking about the final outcome perhaps might give them more fun. But I think they are having fun. The hotel's nice. They have their little room. Once they saw that I was going to make it yesterday, they all had a big laugh. And last night at the meeting, they all mimicked the way I was walking, talking, acting. So they had a lot of fun at my expense last night. But I think they are having fun. And today at practice, we weren't very focused. And so I'm going to ask them tonight, isn't it going to be more fun if you're successful? So let's try to be more focused than we were today.
Center of the room.
Hey, Coach.
Okay.
Kira Luck, Carolina Blue. First thing, I did an experiment today. My feet didn't swell on the plane. Earlier, you said that feet swell on the plane. I was like, feet really swell on the plane? They didn't. That was kind of interesting.
Yours didn't, but most people really do. And Joel's did.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm doing superlatives for the team, and one of the questions I asked them was, who's the coach's pet? And a lot of them said Kenny is the one that does stuff before you say anything, and they said that Joel was a son, that he's just, you two are super close.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about those two answers?
Well, Kenny and I are related. We're named Williams, so there's bound to be some relationship somewhere. And he's very bright. Does think defensively, and I think a lot of times he is able to answer things and know what I'm going towards, because he's so good and thinks on the defensive end of the floor. And I love Joel's competitiveness. I love that. It's times you have to temper it. I mean, he was mad because I wouldn't let him do anything at practice today in full court. And I went over and said, "Oh, you're mad, huh? Well, that's good." But he did nothing full court today, and I'm hopeful that we'll get something out of it tomorrow. But the players, they generally, from every team, they pick the favorite. It's all the way back to '05. They called Jackie Manuel my son, and I said, that's because he's the best defensive player, that kind of thing. But I've been very fortunate to coach some kids that I do really, really enjoy and love.
In the back on the left side, this will be mic number 3.
Roy Carrieggers, Portland Tribune. Dana says that he thinks the board battle will be a key factor, maybe the key factor. Do you agree with that? And what are the things about the Ducks that concern you the most?
I've always felt that rebounding, and if Roy Williams, could only pick one thing, I would always pick rebounding as the most significant factor in determining who wins the game. Because I think the game's pretty simple. You get it, I get it. You get it, I get it. The only way for me to get more opportunities is to get more offensive rebounds, to give another shot, and to make sure that you don't get more offensive rebounds. So I've always thought that was extremely important, and we try to focus on it every year. When you get to this part, every year, though, there's 4 really good teams, really well-rounded teams. There's really no weakness in any of the teams, and I believe that. And so it's not like when you're getting to play some other team and you say, if we do this, we're going to win the game because this is such a big problem for them. We need to take advantage of that. I don't think you can do that. At least I haven't found anything yet on Oregon yet. I have already studied some tape on them. What scares me is how everybody can score, with Brooks and with Tyler Dorsey and with Jordan Bell. They're so athletic. I try to figure out who the dickens do I have that can guard them. And so they present a lot of problems. And I saw them in Maui lose the first game, win a game in overtime, and they were not what everybody's saying Oregon was going to be. Since that, they're 31-3, and that's pretty daggum impressive. And so when I see them, I see a guy on the bench that I know a little bit and have a tremendous amount of respect for, and that he's got his team playing the way he wants them to play, and they're really well balanced.
Coach, we'll move all the way up to the front, to the right.
Okay.
Pete.
Roy, Pete Thamel from Sports Illustrated. You gave us in Brooklyn a little bit of a window into what you thought of President Trump's tweeting habits. You're 2 wins away, if you're fortunate enough to win, to maybe potentially go to the White House. I'm just curious, in a divided political era, and I was just in your locker room where I think they said 12 of the majority of the locker room didn't go that way politically. I'm just curious how you'd handle that opportunity.
This is an easy one, really. There's nobody in this room as daggum superstitious as I am. You think I'm going to think about that? I mean, I'm not even Catholic, and I cross myself and everything before every daggum putt I ever take. Talk to me about that if that is a problem, and I will give you an answer, I promise, but I'm not going that far. The biggest problem I've had with my team, seriously, since I got here is getting everybody to understand. Don't give me any junk about, we're going to read, what is it? What's their website or whatever it is, redemption? What is it? Whatever it is, redemption. See, group chat. That's what we're doing right now, as far as I'm concerned. We're having a group chat. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about all that other junk. But I'm seriously, my focus makes sure they understand we're here to play Oregon, and if we play well against Oregon, perhaps somebody may let us stay around and play another one. But no, there's nobody in the world that can make me think of anything like that. But after the game, if we're still standing here, you can ask me and I'll give you an honest answer.
Second row on the right
I
side.
try to make sure I never jinx my daggum self.
Roy, hi, Steve Karp from the Review Journal in Las Vegas. Speaking of redemption, I asked a few of your players if it's been a motivating factor for them. Some said yes, some said no. What's the sense of it from your perspective in just, the way your kids have handled from fall ball all the way right through to getting here to Phoenix?
It's a hard question because I have to break it up. In the locker room was the most inadequate feeling I've ever had in my life. And it's hard. It's hard to think about it. It's hard to talk about it. Because my kids gave me everything they had. The other team made a big-time play. We made some big-time plays to get in that position. And so in the locker room, what I did is tried to tell them, let's focus on using this feeling as fuel, as motivation to work extremely hard in the off season. And that's really what I used it for. Maybe 2 or 3 times they've heard me say, what's the most fun you've ever had in basketball? And every one of them says, last year, the run to the Monday night. And I said, well, remember that. But it hasn't been, I haven't got it up in the wall in the locker room, and I haven't, gone through anything, padded it as I go out or anything like that. And I think the answer they gave you, some kids it meant more to, and some kids it meant less to. But it was used as motivation to try to work hard to be the best player they can be is the way I tried to use it.
Let's go back to Nicole.
Roy, you sort of touched on this a little bit with Joel's status, but where does it stand a couple days out from the game?
Just like I said, he did nothing full court today, and if we go back and he feels good tonight, we might let him do some full court tomorrow, but I can't let him play on Saturday if he can't do something full court, because we do play full court. If he can't do anything up and down, then I can't let him play. But he wanted to do more today, and between Doug and myself, we in fact, he didn't do he did fast break drills number 1 and 3, so that's 3 minutes. He did defensive group work, so that's 7 minutes. He did under OB defensive group work, that's 4 minutes, so that's 11. So it's you're talking about 14 minutes, and he substituted out some of that. So he didn't break a real sweat, that kind of thing. But we hope to get more out of him tomorrow.
In that same area, Mark.
Yeah, Coach, you've said both today and before that your position on the last law in North Carolina wasn't just about hosting events, it was the law itself. So to get right to the substance of it, the probably central plank is of that law, which it's not clear exactly what will happen now, but is that transgender people, in North Carolina at least couldn't use bathrooms other than of their birth gender, basically, in public facilities. And I guess I'm wondering why you're opposed to that, why you think that's a wrong law.
You guys know what the single wing is in football? Seriously, because everybody don't. You're shaking your head yes, and you damn sure don't, okay? Why should I again talk about some new law that I don't even know what the law says? And I trust you, but not enough, because I'm up here, and if I say, oh, that's stupid, or oh, that's great, y'all are going to write it. So you're asking me to form an opinion just on what you said. And no, I've already said, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, but guys, I'm a college basketball coach that am entitled to have my beliefs. If you ask me about zone or man-to-man, I would love to talk to you about it. Even if you ask me about calling timeouts, I would love to talk to you about that. But I don't even know what the new law means. I've already made my statements about the old law, and so I really think that's enough, to be honest with you. And this is America. I don't tweet, but I do give my opinion.
Let's go back to the center of the room.
There's a twit. Or is that what I am, a twit? There's somewhere in there. Yes.
Hey, Coach, I was talking to Stillman today, and we were talking about his journey into his senior year, and we spoke about his mission trip and you holding his spot for him. And the one thing that he said was that it wasn't so much a testament of the type of player he was, but the type of coach you were to do that for him. So I guess kind of expand on that and your thoughts during that time on saving that spot for him and what he means to this team.
It was an easy deal to save the spot for him because I would want that done for me. And basically, I'm corny. I want people to treat me like I try to treat people and want to have those things done. I'm really sad in one thing because when he came back, he was hurt. And I think he might have even broken his ankle while he was gone. I know he had a couple of surgeries. And so when he came back the first year and a half, he was really beat up. But this year, he's really done some good things for us in practice area. He wore them out today. He and Luke, sometimes Coach Smith always used to say, "You guy on a blue jersey has no stress, has no pressure." But today, Stillman took it to the basket. He made shots, and it's been a thrill for me to see him transform to be healthy and to be able to be somebody that I have a lot of confidence into. I would not be afraid to put Stillman in almost any situation, but he's matured. Oh my gosh, he was a 7-year-old when I coached him first time. I mean, and now he's almost an old man, but he's been around 6 years, so you should see that. But no, he's a thrill and a fun guy to coach too.
In the third row on the left side.
Hey, Coach. Gavin Shaw, Blaze Radio. How do you approach if Oregon goes 4 out, potentially having to put a big guy on Dylan Brooks?
Well, a big guy's going to possibly be on Dylan Brooks to start with because we're going to start 2 big guys, but that's who we are, and we're going to do that. And if it doesn't work, we'll try to make some changes. But I always say that if it's hard for our big guy to get out on the court and play them, I hope it's hard for that perimeter player to have a difficult time guarding our guy inside. In our league, we have Jason Tatum. Notre Dame, Bonzi. We have a lot of mismatches that are difficult for us to get out on the court, and yet we hope to make it difficult for them to guard the guy inside too. So that's the game of basketball, and we're going to start out. I may surprise everybody. I may put Joel on him. I may put Stillman on him if Joel doesn't play. So we just have. The good thing is we have some more time to look at some more tape. See, the other night I didn't put Joel on the Aaron Fox to start with because Joel's ankle was bothering him to start the game. I didn't think we needed to call a special session of Congress to decide if that was a good thing. It's just at that time it felt like a good thing. And put Justin on Malik, and Justin played his tail off, and Theo tried to stay in front of the Aaron. So there's still today 48 hours before we have to make those decisions. But it's going to happen. But if that's the case, then the big guy better do something inside too.
In the third row on the left side.
Mandy Mitchell, WRAL in Raleigh. Coach, you talked about your superstition. The Shea Rush hats, is that more superstition now or style for you?
I'm not a good-looking guy in a lot of different ways, but I don't think I'm a hat guy for sure. But some way, somehow, I took it to Greenville because I knew we were going to take a team picture, and we won. And some way, somehow, it showed up in Memphis, and we won. And so, yes, it's with me here. I think it just walks in and gets on the bus, and we go on. Yeah, I've tried to get less superstitious, but I think I've gotten more.
That's all the time we have with Coach Williams today. Coach, we'll see you tomorrow
Thank
afternoon.
You guys
Thank you very
much.
I know. I thought that was funny, Coach. Something like that happened. Ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments at 3:30 p.m., we'll have a news conference here in the main interview room with NCAA President Dr. Mark Emmert. Be sure to stick around. That begins in just a few moments at 3:30 p.m. Hi, Nancy. Good, how are you?